Are you looking to grow as a collector? Maybe revamp your old collection? Or possibly start a new one? If so, then this is a very important episode for you. To Not a Watch Snob, I am your host Bill, and I'm not a watch snob. As I mentioned before, this is going to be a very important episode, whether you're starting a collection or revamping your own. I think that this is going to be the cream of the crop when it comes to instructional videos. There's going to be 10 tips and tricks that are going to help you, make that first step in changing things up. So I'm really excited to share it to you. I think your outcome is going to be really great. Comparatively to other videos, I think that this is a lot more positivity and kind of a holistic look at things versus being so boxed in as other reviews and tips and trick videos have been. So I'm looking forward to sharing my wealth of knowledge with you. I'm not claiming to be an expert. I'm just trying to instill the knowledge that I've learned throughout the years onto you. If you are liking this video series, don't forget to like, subscribe. It really helps out the channel. Click that bell notification so you can get updates every time we post a new video. I'm thinking Monday, Wednesday, Fridays are going to be our day. I'm still working things out. This is a fairly new channel, so I'm just kind of working things out. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Let's get going, guys. Thank you. Tip number one is a tip that I think is useful when it comes to starting anything new, and that is the what and the why. Now you're probably thinking, what the hell is he talking about? I came here to learn about watches. Well, the what and the why is a very important question to ask yourself before you get into anything new. Before you start your collection, before you start changing your collection, you should always ask yourself, why am I doing this? And what am I looking to accomplish? Now, for example, my why on why I started watch collecting all stems from my ADHD. I got a watch when I was about 12 or 11. I was really screwing up in class. I was always disruptive, obnoxious, go figure. And I got this watch from my grandfather who had passed. I wasn't really close with him, but so it was the one sort of memory I had was wearing this watch. And I slowly realized if I counted the seconds, I was able to calm myself down, and that's what really got me going into this what are great brands, really inquisitive questions that I started asking my father because, 11, 12, you're asking your father a lot more questions, cars, watches, just how to be a man, and me and him would spend long car rides just talking about different watches and things that I find interesting. And then one of my whats is the type of collection I really wanted was on a cruise when I was younger. Me and my father, again, this all kind of stems to my father, we were at this watch seminar, and they were taking us through all the brands that they thought were top quality brands. They mentioned Omega, they mentioned Rolex, they mentioned Breitling. So every watch that I basically purchase that are in my keeper collection are basically an homage to what I learned that day and the adventure that me and him had scouring these islands, looking for perfect watches that me and him would look at each other when we found out the price tag and just drop our jaw. Watches that I never thought I'd obtain. And so I hold every one of them dear to my heart because it's like bonding experience with my father. So I think these are just important questions to ask yourself in general in life. Whenever you're starting something new, you should definitely ask yourself, what do you want to accomplish? And why are you doing this? Because you always want to have the right reasons in mind when starting anything new. Second on our list is budget. And a lot of people talk about the budget of, buy within your means. But in my mind, I think you should not let price become a fear factor when buying a watch. I think that you can always budget your money to obtain something that's unobtainable. It's a life skill that I think everybody should learn, and I think that if you're able to make payments here and there or set aside here and there, you can get whatever watch your little heart desires. I mean, Obviously, don't sell your house for it. Don't ruin the kids' college fund for it. But you can definitely find high-end luxury for cheaper if you know the right avenues to go down. So I think that budgeting is definitely number 2 on this list. I like to map out prices and see how long, how many years it might take to build up to this one particular collection or this one particular watch. I like to budget things out, and it's good to see your dreams become reality in a way, because it makes the goals seem so much more obtainable. So budget, make sure you do that. And that brings us to number 3. Plan it out. As I mentioned before, with budgeting, I like to create lists. Whenever I plan out my next moves when it comes to watch collecting, I always write in my little notebook, not this one, I always write in my little notebook, write down the brands that I want. Okay, Ulysses Nardin, right? That's a brand I've really wanted. Then I do research, and I develop my ideology, and I develop my ideas, and I develop my wants for that specific model or that specific type, and I make sure I plan it out and I budget accordingly. I think that, it's good to do research. That way you're well versed when it comes to the collection, because there's a lot of watches within brands, and there's a lot of different styles and tastes within brands. So I think doing your research after you plan it out, after you plan out those brands, is one of the best ways you can do it. If you don't like lists, go ahead and make it in your head. Just come up with a couple of dream watches in your mind and go for it. I mean, you don't have to write things down. You don't have to be analytical. That's the beauty of this. It's up to your own means. It's up to your own abilities. It's up to your own strengths and weaknesses. Number 4 is find your style. Now, the best way to find your style, truthfully, is through trial and error. I think that for you to grow as a person and for you to, grow into yourself, I think finding your style is one of the most important life tips you can have. Being young, a lot of people my age don't really know who they are, and I think that once you find your style and you're able to find a little piece of yourself, it really broadens your mind to an entire new world that you didn't know existed. So I think that finding your style when it comes to a new timepiece is a great idea. Now, like I said, it's going to take trial and error. You can always sell a watch. You can always, return a watch. So go ahead and don't be afraid to take risks. Don't be afraid to dare a little bit. It's not going to be the end of the world. I promise you. There's always a way out. But if you're a little nervous about taking, dipping your feet into the water, Timex. Timex is a great watch where they have billions of styles, from dress watches, sport watches, divers, vintage, plenty of watches out there that you can just mess around with, and you can definitely find your style through that means. Once you start finding your style, you'll know what you look for in particular watches. I think that every great watch collector has a small criteria that he looks for and he puts upon each watch. Now, I'm not saying buy 150 of the same watches. I'm saying you can be diverse. You can have a very diverse style, but meet those criteria at the same time, as we talked about in previous videos. So finding your style is not about just sticking to one type of watch. It's about being brave and finding something that makes you happy and completes your collection. Number 5, don't get bogged down by YouTube experts and YouTube reviews. It's just going to bum you out, because not everybody who is an influencer or an expert has the same taste as you. Not everybody has the same ideas as you. Not everybody feels the exact same way as you do. So look at it more as a tool and less of a exact science, because I've been influenced by YouTubers, and I've also learned that that's not exactly the watch that I like. So just because they like it doesn't mean that I have to have it. For example, when I bought my ERA, a lot of YouTubers were completely against the idea of ERA marketing billionaire timepieces for the masses. And I think that if I had listened to them, I wouldn't have a beautiful watch in my collection. I wouldn't have something that I think is really unique. So don't listen to them. It's not worth your time. You should follow your own gut and follow your own heart, because that's the best way of finding yourself. As we go back to the last tip, following your heart and going with your gut is the best way of finding yourself. And don't be bogged down by people claiming to be experts, because they're not experts on you. They're experts maybe in watches or whatever review they might be experts in. It's all bullshit. There's no such thing as an expert in anything. Everybody learns. Everybody's still learning. There's nobody who knows everything in this world. So, number 6 is kind of a side note. I've seen a lot of YouTube videos and blogs talking about what type of collector you are. Don't get boxed in. There's no such thing as type of collectors. You can be different type of collector at different days, different years. As your taste change, your style changes. There's no such thing as, the type of collector you are. Don't be boxed in by bullshit. You can't put framework on collecting. It's something that changes with you. It's something that's a part of you. It's an extension of your personality. So, putting someone into a box and saying, you are a 3-watch collector. Bullshit. You're not a 3-watch, you're not an anything collector. You are just a collector. We are all just collectors. We are all in this craft or this hobby that the little voice speaks to us that we got to have more and more, and that's the beauty of collecting. So don't be too worried if you don't feel like you fit into any categories or any type of collectors. It's all bullshit. Don't let that weigh on your heart. Number 7, start small. Now, I don't mean monetarily small. I mean mostly start with just one watch and go from there. Because don't go wholeheartedly into something and, quit halfway. That's what I've done with a lot of things in life. So I think it's best to start small, dip your toes in, feel it out a little bit, and make sure it's something you actually want to do before you go ahead and buy 300 watches and then realize, oh shit, I don't want any of these. It's not worth your time, and it's not worth your wallet's time either. So that's more of a tip for those who are just starting a collection. But if you're looking to revamp, or we all go through changes within our collection where, oh, I don't really like this style anymore, I want to get more of this, start small. Too. I was in a big vintage kick for a little bit, and I bought 7 vintage watches, and I didn't need any of them. So I learned my lesson the hard way of just starting small, dabble a little bit before you actually go wholeheartedly into anything. So I think starting small is definitely a very important tip when it comes to watch collecting. Number 8, find knowledgeable people. Surround yourself with people who are into this hobby, into this craft. It's the best way to grow as a person and actually take advice and learn more about this hobby. If you surround yourself with people who are like-minded and different than you, then you can also grow as a collector. You can grow your views and you can learn so much. I can't tell you how many people that I talk to on a daily basis where I learn something from at least once a day. I learned today that the Octo, the Bulgari Octo is the thinnest mechanical watch. Would have never known that if I wasn't talking to someone knowledgeable. So I'm just saying that if you find and surround yourself with knowledgeable people, you'll learn so much about the watch game, and you'll learn so much about this hobby. So don't be afraid to ask questions. I mean, go ahead and ask questions, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's in blogs, whether it's groups. You can find plenty of Zoom watch groups out there. I'm not a part of any, but within your city, within your town, there's people who are like-minded all over the universe, all over the globe. You can also read books. I particularly don't like to read too much. I have a couple of books over here that I dabble in, but I think sitting down and reading chapters and chapters on watches would bore the absolute crap out of me. I'm a picture guy. If you're going to give my attention, give me a picture, give me a video, give me in-my-face tactics. I'm not going to sit there and hear, in 1913, Bogard came up with... It's going to bore me. It's going to make me fall asleep. It's not going to make me like this craft anymore. So, don't be afraid to reach out for help if you have any questions. Also, if you have any questions, go ahead. Put them in the comment section right now. I'd love to hear from you. Don't be afraid to reach out to me. I can help. I can hopefully answer your question. If not, I can get someone to answer your question. So it's just a wonderful community. Be a part of it. Be friends with people. Be friendly, and it will all work out. Number 9 is be persistent. Don't give up so easily. I know a couple people in this watch group that they'll only go for a couple of days and try to find a watch that they've been looking for and trade for, and they'll just give up so quickly. You got to be persistent. You got to go and actively find people who are trying to get rid of or sell or trade the watch that you have your eye on, and you have to hit them up personally. Don't be annoying, don't bug them, but definitely go for a, hey, I was wondering every once in a while. So don't be, don't just give up so quickly. Go ahead and reach for the stars if you can. Go ahead and be proactive in the group to find what you are looking for exactly. Because giving up is just going to lead you to failure and depression. And if you just go out there and actually work a little harder, you can find what you're looking for. For example, my first Breitling. I never thought in a million years I'd get it, but I just was proactive and I was actively searching people out who were getting rid of theirs and saying, hey, what would you do for this? Would you trade me for this? And eventually I found the right person, and it opened my mind to a world of new watches that I never thought were obtainable. And it's become one of my favorite watches. I'm not even going to get into it because I just love so much about that brand. So be persistent. Not bothersome, but persistent. Okay? And finally, number 10, don't be afraid to fail. You're going to fail. It's life. But it's what you do with that failure that's going to shape you as a collector or as a person. If you screw up, I've made so many mistakes within collecting where I've lost a shit ton of money. And you know what? I learned from those mistakes. I learned what I did wrong, and I started to look for ways that I can improve myself and my collection and my ideology behind the collection, because, it's okay to fail. It's okay to be wrong. It's gonna happen. You're gonna get screwed over. You're gonna screw yourself over. It's bound to happen. But at the end of the day, it's your happiness and your well-being that really matters. So don't be afraid to fail, because if you're afraid, then you're never gonna grow. So I think that's one of the best pieces of advice I can give you, because failure's inevitable. It's how you handle failure that makes you a true person. This one's just kind of a fun bit, but number 11 is your wife or spouse is gonna fucking hate you. Let's just be honest. There's not that many people we probably know that are into watches, so it's good to have your advice, and it's good to have a group where you can talk and be active in about watches and about watch collecting and about your hobbies and your little niche. But your wife's gonna hate you because she's not. Unless she's into watch, she's gonna hate you. She's gonna give She's gonna give a rat's ass about what you have to say when it comes to collecting. At first, she's gonna be really nice to you, but eventually, if I hear another watch, I'm gonna kill you. So it's good to have an outreach. It's good to have friends within the groups that you can talk to whenever you get excited about a new piece. Make sure you're the first person to open it. I've heard a lot of people whose wives will actually hide it on them because they're pissed they bought a new watch. But honestly, it's more of a fun thing. If your spouse actually has a problem with it, then maybe you should rethink things. But truthfully, it's all in good fun. I hope, for your sake. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this video on the 10 things you should definitely look for when starting or revamping your collection. I really enjoyed talking to you guys. I really enjoy doing this. So if you enjoy me, please feel free to like, subscribe, comment, even down like. If you don't like this, go ahead. Give me a negative review. I love your feedback. I love to hear from you. I'm really happy I started this because I met a lot of great people while doing this vlog, and I've learned so much. I've done so much research, and I think my collection has shown for it. My collection is getting renovated every single day with more new and new pieces that are just broadening my mind. So I'm really grateful for the views, and I'm really grateful for what you guys are doing. So thank you very much, and remember, I'm not a watch snob, and neither are you. Have a good night. Thank you.